Hello, this is Darren Pulsifer, Chief Solution Architect of Public Sector at Intel, and welcome to Embracing Digital Transformation, where we investigate effective change leveraging people, process, and technology. On today's episode, we're going to look to the future of 2021 with Greg Ernst, VP of Sales at Intel. Greg, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Darren. It's a pleasure. It's good to see you.
Well, I love having my management on the show because it validates my show. So thank you for coming on.
I didn't know we were going to explain our reporting structure.
Oh, wait. That's quiet. We're that's proprietary information we shouldn't be sharing, I guess.
No, it's good. Oh, Darren, it's an honor, and your podcast is getting quite a following. So. For the audience to let them know, I reached out and made a subtle request and an opportunity to speak with you on air here. So thank you for doing this.
Well, thanks for coming. Greg, tell us a little bit about your background and what you do at Intel to help drive Intel forward.
Yeah, so as you said, I lead our U.S. sales and marketing, and for a company like Intel, our customers are primarily the system OEMs, and we have a sales force that works every single day servicing those accounts and helping them take our compute and memory technologies, build systems around it. Our business model is compute, and right now what we're seeing just an unprecedented demand, almost an insatiable demand for compute. So one of the things that we also do, though, as a company is have a team of business development architects, principal engineers who work every day with the industry, software companies, cloud providers, but also the Fortune 1000 businesses, schools, agencies of the government. Work with all of them to make compute accessible and to really help identify trends and apply use cases that solve business problems, and do it in a way that improves society. And Darren, that's, as you know, that's for your audience, that's your job. That's part of the team, and you as a former CIO, it's the type of skill set that we're excited to bring into our company because it does help businesses all over the country and all over the world.
So you've kind of explained that we're trendsetters. We're out there kind of pushing new trends and looking at trends and making sure that we have the right products to help customers with these new trends that we're seeing out there. So what trends do you see happening this year? What's your crystal ball tell you?
Well, I think right now it's all COVID related. And we're you and I, before we joined on air, we were updating each other on when our vaccine appointments were.
That's right.
But we're seeing it all over the nation that as the end is in sight, and you and I know the nation and the world has some work to do before we put COVID behind us. But as the end is in sight, businesses and where they're spending their capital dollars and IT dollars and infrastructure dollars are changing. We spent most of 2020 in what I would call crisis mode, and IT departments doing what they do amazing, which is deploying technology to keep businesses running and help businesses grow. So they really spent 2020 in the adapt phase. Now what I'm starting to see is a stabilization in IT departments being able to look forward rather than just responding to the crisis at hand, and what you and I'll talk that's creating a lot of the basis for the trends that we're going to share here today.
Yeah, I noticed this last year. What we learned from IT is that they can move very fast. It truly is amazing how quickly we were able to do remote work in almost every industry. It was truly amazing how fast it happened. So that really shows us that IT can move much faster than we ever thought they could.
Darren, what did you see change in processes that allowed IT to move fast? Because all of us in business, we all talk about velocity is king. What changed?
I've talked to several CIOs and CISOs, and I think what changed was decision making got pushed down
Yeah.
because it had to. A CIO couldn't make every single decision that had to be made during the crisis, so they pushed the decision making down, and I think that was a huge benefit. And that's where we saw the velocity come from.
So it was our own decision processes that typically slowed us down.
I think so, and also COVID really wasn't a catalyst as much as an accelerant.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make change. It just accelerated the changes that were already planned. People had like Office 365 rollout. Oh, I've got an 18-month plan. Well, guess what? Now it's a week and a half. You don't have a choice, right? I mean, so those sorts of things accelerated, and I really believe that we can move faster than what we've projected in the past.
And we've seen that inside of our own company.
Yeah, we have.
The adoption, our IT department's been stellar, but you're right. We empowered them to do what was right for the business, and rather than doing a long managed change process rollout, we went fast. And at times, it was some of our employees weren't sure what to be using, but we got through it quickly. And you're right. Just our own some of the software, we did it in weeks, and normally it would have been quarters.
It most definitely will be written up as a business use case for all those MBAs out there for sure. Yeah, on what happened.
Yeah.
So,
and now as we look forward, though, to your point, what I've seen a lot of our customers and businesses all over the nation really starting to set up for what this new hybrid work model is going to look like. We've one of the things in the news and Intel we're working through our own is expectations for our employees around how often they come to the office after having spent a large majority of our employees spent the last year working from home. They want hybrid, and companies have been spending time working through what that means, from office setup to expectations of the employees to freedom that we give. But now IT departments are starting to make the investments to enable that. Even if employees are only getting together let's say once a week, Darren, let's pick a number. That's a number that we've been talking about internally. We haven't made our own official decision. Let's say once a week. You still want a level of collaboration between the employees. And now we need to solve for the problem of some employees will be in office and some will be at home. And that's now where I'm seeing IT departments really spend their time preparing.
Absolutely. And we don't know what that's going to actually look like yet. So IT departments are still going to have to be very flexible and agile in their approach on things, because it's going to take, I think, longer to adopt the new way. It's not going to be 3 weeks. It's going to be months until we figure out what it really looks like.
I think so. It's a little more emotional because every employee's different, right? And some really want a physical desk. Some really crave and enjoy being around other employees. Some want
absolutely.
And that's that change management is probably going to take some time.
So what other trends besides, the remote workforce or the hybrid workforce do you see happening this year?
Well, one is I'm seeing a lot of projects come back online. And back to your point, they weren't newly thought of. They were more put on the side in 2020. So quite a few things coming online. But first, a lot driven around, again, the hybrid work environment, but what the employee experience should be engaging with IT. A lot of apps. So as individuals, we've gotten used to this app-driven world. Employees want to engage with their business in the same way they do with consumer software as a service apps. So a lot of app-driven employee experience projects starting. A lot of using phone to deliver secure training. So allowing employees walk around, be away from their computer and still listen to CEO updates. So quite a bit there. And also a lot of progress too around the utilization of bots. At Intel, we just rolled out a new HR bot ourselves to, again, improve and automate the employee's experience accessing all the HR services that we have.
So that leads to a lot more AI and AI automation, it sounds like. We're going to need that.
Yeah. And to your point, it's all driven by the machine learning and the effectiveness of machine learning to make these bots and this automation more effective. And therefore more utilized by the employees.
Okay. What about in outside the employee space? What do we see moving forward in industry, for example, or in product delivery? Do we see any changes there coming online this year?
A lot of our customers are setting up for frictionless, contactless customer services. So whether we're seeing on government side, we're seeing a retail, definitely in the entertainment space, and again in the workplace. So quite a few projects now planning for post-pandemic and really standardizing on this contactless, frictionless engagement with customers. So a lot of projects there that our Salesforce has been aiding businesses with.
Well, you and I were kind of talking about this. Parts of the industry didn't slow down. They accelerated quite a bit, including telco, and which is going to make these frictionless delivery much easier, right? Because now we've got the telco infrastructure to provide that, like 5G, and just a stronger infrastructure that allows for more IoT, more remote types of devices that before we weren't really ready for, and it was going to take years to get there. I think we're there now.
Yeah, I think the telcos have done an amazing job in 2020 investing capital to build out that infrastructure. Intel was a big day last week, right, Darren, for us. We launched our third generation of Xeon scalable CPUs. And we actually had one of the infrastructure leaders at Verizon at our launch event talk through the infrastructure build out they're doing to make 5G a reality. And then another one of our customers, Dish, there was quite a few announcements that Dish made in the fall of 2020 around them building out their own 5G infrastructure. So the good news is that CapEx spend continued, that infrastructure build out is sustained. And now what we're seeing is enterprises, and again, government agencies too, build out their own private networks to utilize the latency benefits of 5G.
So let's move away from 5G and move into AI a little bit. And there were some really cool announcements when we launched our Ice Lake with Microsoft, for example, on some things we're doing with AI and medical discovery.
Yeah, this was, we've been talking around at Intel called secure SGX, secure guard extensions. We've been working through this for some time with the industry. I am seeing a huge spike, and you hit on it, Darren. What we're seeing is with our new third generation Xeon CPUs, there's these secure compute enclaves, protected memory that cannot be accessed outside the system. And the use case that we're seeing get deployed, and as you mentioned, the CTO Microsoft of Azure came on. The use case that we're seeing is really around AI and this concept of federated learning, where users' data and companies' data can train global models, but the data doesn't need to get shared into a central repository. And originally, with AI training, it did. Now with this concept of federated learning plus Intel's SGX, that data can be protected, whether it's individuals' data, one hospital's data, so patients' data, or companies' data, be protected, but still contribute to training a more global model and reaping the benefits.
This is a huge benefit, because regulation, as we know, and private and data privacy sometimes get in the way of researchers, right? Because, I can't share the data because with this concept of confidential computing and federated learning, this is a huge benefit to research, whether it's for COVID or cancer, or we're even seeing it used in the financial markets as well, where I can't share, bank data with people, but I can start looking at trends across the economy and see and maybe even be more predictive on what's going to happen. So huge benefits there.
It just skyrocketed. Over the last 6 months, the number of projects that our customers are working on it just 10x. So it is a space where we as Intel, we have a lot of, one, we have the technology, but two, a lot of specialty to aid customers.
Oh, great. All right. What other trends are you seeing? We've talked about security. We've talked about confidential computing, AI, remote workspaces, or the hybrid workplace. What else do you see happening this year?
Another thing, RPA, robotics process automation. A lot of companies there, in really post-COVID, finding ways to automate, in some cases, mundane tasks, and then free up their workforce to work on higher value add projects. So that is a definite trend that's, again, skyrocketed over the last 6-8 months.
The whole RPA market's an interesting market. It has received over $2 billion in VC funding over the last 5 years. That's incredible. I mean, $2 billion. And guess where most of the money came from? New York City, the financial markets, because they use RPAs like crazy. It's an interesting market to be in, and a lot of growth. So I agree with you. Automation is going to be key to moving forward quickly.
And you were mentioning too earlier, just a lot of data center automation.
Outside of RPAs, there's a lot of automation frameworks that people are using to deploy infrastructure in their data centers and also in the cloud seamlessly. So a lot of really cool technology in that space.
That's cool.
Cool. Well, hey, Greg, this has been great talking to you about all these things. Any last words for our listeners out there?
I would just, one trend we didn't talk about that I did want to hit on just real quick is really that the build out of that edge compute. We talked about it a little around 5G. But what's been interesting is at Intel, we've started building out reference architectures to help companies build out their edge compute. And really the important science there is the connecting of the edge compute all the way back into cloud infrastructure and building both a hardware, a software stack, a control panel, and an automation. And so I would just say that probably another area of incredible investment, but then incredible business outcomes being driven from it as well. So.
Thanks for listening to Embracing Digital Transformation today. If you liked our episode, go ahead and give us 5 stars on your favorite podcast or video streaming site. You can also find out more on embracingdigital.com. Until next time, keep moving forward and do something wonderful.